Well, hello and welcome to Beyond the Sermon, a Bethany podcast where we have the privilege of digging deeper into our Sunday messages. I'm Tammy DeLau, and today I have Pastor David Baxley with me and Pastor Steve Musto. And guys, something's going on our property.
Yes.
You look confused.
I was like, what's happening, Tammy? Don't tell me this in a podcast. Tell me in my office.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Well, what is it then? We'll see, because he's scared.
I think you mean the parking lot.
Yeah.
I do.
That I'm excited about.
And it looks like we will have the parking lot for this Sunday.
Yes.
The question is, with the weather outside, will we have stripes so people know where to park?
Okay.
Or will it be anarchy in the parking lot? We will see, but we're going to use it. So if you're listening to this before the Sunday service, I go park in the parking lot.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Just try to be straight. If there's no lines,
Hey, and the earlier you get here for church,
you're in charge of how parking will be done. That's
right.
exactly
what
right.
direction? I mean, they can choose how they want to do it if there's no. There you go. All right. Well, it is exciting. It's very fun. It's been a blessing, that team that you put together, David, that have helped people cross the street. It's worked out really well. But we had a crazy Sunday. 550 people at that 9:45 service, and we need the parking spots.
We do.
So it is a huge blessing. Yeah. All right. Let's jump in. All right, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm standing at starting point, and I get a message from my pastor. And it talks about the sermon and praying and fasting.
Yep.
And I know that I'm juggling a lot of plates on Sunday, but I did not hear my pastor talk about fasting and praying. So what happened?
So I got an email when I got to my car. I looked down at my phone, and it says, as you heard in the it didn't say sermon. It said, as you heard announced in the service today, we're calling everybody to prayer and fasting this week. And I was like, man, I totally missed that. Where did that come from? But I was thinking of it in terms of, I guess David announced that. And I didn't hear it. Like it was on the video or something.
I mean, you are running around like a chicken with your head cut off on a Sunday morning.
And I was looking at my notes or whatever, and I just missed. There you go. I was like, huh. And then I was like, so I pulled up the YouTube of our announcements while I was still in the parking lot and played it through the stereo in my car. So I'm listening to the announcements as I'm driving home, and I'm listening very carefully, and I don't hear anything about prayer and fasting. And I went, wow, well, somebody messed that up. Somebody was supposed to announce that that's what we were doing this week. And then by the time I got home, I realized I am that somebody.
There you go.
Completely missed it. David and I were supposed to have a phone call this week with somebody. And David and I were there, but guy missed it.
Somebody wasn't there.
Yeah, and so I didn't have that's
where we put together our plan usually.
Of what we're going to say. So I didn't have that. But really what happened was, this is our first time doing family dedication with 4 services.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was pulled in so many different directions.
Yes.
I totally missed it. Just totally missed it.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't happen very often. I mean, there are times when we'll talk about, well, we could have done a better job announcing that, or we didn't say this or whatever, but we don't miss them very often entirely, but I did.
Okay.
And,
but the video was great.
So I came in on Monday and I shot a video.
Yep.
So we got that sent out. Yeah. So that's what happened. But, I don't want to take away from the idea that this week was a call to prayer and fasting and something that we have participated in, and Kathy and I participated in that this week, and it's really powerful for us to be able to pray over our church and pray for what God is doing here, and focus prayer specifically on the church.
And how exciting, guys, that as we're doing this and we're asking the Lord what is next, and He is just bringing people, that we would have a Sunday as busy as we did this Sunday to help us and remind us that God is doing something, and how are we going to partner with Him. So that was pretty awesome.
I just love the image. Back in March, Steve, you talked about fasting, but we kind of focused that message more on individual
fasting, in context of our own relationship with God. But man, there is something sweet when you know that you don't know when they're doing it even, but this week as you were fasting, as we were fasting, like, man, there were other people just doing that together. Like we were on mission together in our own chaos of life, right? And there's just something really unifying, I think, just to know that's happening. That just, and I also think there's something that I think that's special to the heart of God.
Yeah,
I think God looks at his family, his kids, and just says, "Look at what they're doing together to pursue me."
Yeah, and I that brings out, David, a really good point, which is that if for some reason you missed it or weren't able to do it, it's not like you can never fast again and you can't go before the Lord, on behalf of the next initiative or what our church is doing. Please do. I mean, please just do it on your own. And it is, it is a powerful thing.
I wouldn't do it Thursday next week.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you can, but I guess it depends on who's cooking that day. You may want to.
Yeah, there's your excuse. I'm sorry. I'm fasting.
The turkey looks dry, so I'm for sure fasting. Oh, that's good.
It brings up, though, something else, and just talking about 4 services. I think you guys have been asked, I've been asked multiple times now, how's it going with 4 services? So let's just take a minute and talk about how has 4 services changed our world a little bit? How have you guys noticed it showing up in what you do week to week, but in what your Sundays look like too?
Overall, I've been so excited. I remember our first week, and we've seen this repeated. The big reason behind this was hopefully to distribute, more evenly between these 4 services to make room for new people to come. And that happened.
Yeah.
New people can show up at any of our services. And outside of, a big Sunday like family dedications, which is unique, there's room for anybody to show up. And there's been room to spare. And so that's been so encouraging to see how that door is wider for people to come in on Sundays. It's great.
And for me specifically with connections, definitely more slots to fill, but we're doing it. In fact, I met with 2 gentlemen this morning, and I'm meeting with a woman at noon today. And so I think people are seeing this is their church and they want to help. So that's encouraging.
That's great.
So that's super fun.
Yeah. I think, David, this is going to be the first weekend that you preach for.
That's right.
And I will say
Not
this.
worried at all.
No. And you shouldn't be.
So don't drink anything is what I think.
No, hydrate. Please hydrate. One thing that I've noticed, what I couldn't do with 3 services, I've said this to you guys many times, with 3 services, I never got a service myself where I could worship.
Sure, yeah.
And sit there and be, with my family,
fully
with my
present
wife
the whole time.
And with 4, I can.
Yeah, that's right.
And so that has been a game changer.
Okay.
And I appreciate that. And the other thing is, it's not been as big a deal in terms of, I think most pastors run through at least mentally their sermon one time on Sunday morning. They at least read it through. So why not preach it through?
Yeah.
An extra time.
Yeah.
So that's a piece. And then I've changed my day off. So I changed my day off from Friday to Monday. And that has also been really a big deal.
From Monday to Friday.
From Friday to Monday.
His day
So
off.
I'm not.
Oh, day off. Yes. Yeah. You're right. Sorry. All right. Edit that out, please. Sorry, Steve.
We're leaving it in. We are very specifically leaving it in. If my mistake is going out to the whole church, yours is going on the podcast for humility. You're going to like it.
Wow, this got real. All right, let's do this.
We do have a lot of fun. So that should be shown. Oh, that's good.
So this weekend, you want to do a quick overview?
Yeah, I do. So I find myself forgetting what you talk about, Steve. So when I was praying, which probably doesn't feel terrible as a pastor. I think we're just so busy with moving on to the next thing and the podcast and Bible studies that this morning when I was praying, I'm like, I don't even remember what you talked about.
Yeah.
But I re-listened to the sermon and it was so good for me.
You
and
re-listened to it?
I did.
Oh, that's
I
like
did.
punishment. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's not punishment. I think I might be your dumbest of sheep and I need a lot of repetition is the bottom line. But you were challenging us about worry and where it comes from. And so probably you gave 4, things. I think the one that affected me the most though was not knowing that we are the beloved of God's and equating pain with abandonment. And so that really challenged me.
Good.
So, and I know when we started last week, we read the word therefore, and you're doing the therefore to all that you did.
You're going to do the pre-work.
You're going to do the
pre-for.
Yeah.
You know, like when you have, there's like a series of either books or movies or something, and somebody who's seen it tells you, no, here's what you want to do. Go watch the third one first. And it'll change everything about. And I never do because I'm like, no, wait a second. The director and the producer and the writer, they had this laid out. I'm not watching them out of order. But in this case, it's okay. It works.
Yes. They will complement each other well.
They will. It's perfect. It's very perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and read the verses that you're going to do, if that's okay. So don't store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves don't break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. So if the light within you is darkness, how deep is that darkness? No one can serve 2 masters, since either he will hate one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. So that is a good chunk. And we're probably not going to talk about the whole thing in our little podcast, but let's cover, you just wanted to cover a few of those verses, didn't you?
The thing with this text, and, I kind of glad you read the whole thing because you can feel that, this is one of those passages where it just feels like Jesus is so extreme. I remember like 18-year-old David, like I'm graduating high school, I'm taking life and I love studying the Bible and I come to something like this and oh my goodness, is my life going to be radically different and stuff will not matter and I will not, accumulate everything. And I, you think about this with other stories, and other teachings like that. And then as I grew up, and I had to think about other things and responsibilities. And I got married and had kids. And all of a sudden it wasn't as simple, as clear as the 18-year-old version, thought it would be to live what feels so radically different as Jesus is talking about in these verses. And I think that's a weight that a lot of us carry. It almost feels like we're wrestling with, if we think about our lives and as we've studied scriptures, where am I supposed to land on this? And maybe you felt like me where have I flip-flopped? Am I a compromised person or do I understand this better? We think of scriptures or stories later on in Matthew 19, we have a story about what's called the rich young ruler. And this young man comes to Jesus and he's like, all right, I've obeyed all the commands. I've done all the rules that you set out for me to do, Jesus. Like, what else do I need to do to follow you? And then Jesus looks at him and he says, well, go sell all your possessions and give that to the poor and then come follow me. And then it says that he looked down in shame and walked away. And we read a story like that. Again, it feels even maybe more extreme, but it has that same tension of, so what is it that I'm supposed to do with money and stuff to really follow Jesus? Am I supposed to sell everything? And I think that's one of the beauties of coming to texts like this when we get to actually sit like this and talk about it. Because my guess is for all 3 of us, we've probably wrestled with these same tensions at some point.
And have you ever met anyone who's sold everything? Like, if that's what we're supposed to do, why are we not seeing everyone do that?
It's like,
I've had a few.
Yes, I was about to say, I have too. Or what I would say is really close. There's an example that it still resonates in my mind today. I lived with a guy when I was, again, the 18-year-old version of David, one of my first roommates before I got married. And his dad was a brilliant doctor, extremely smart, extremely successful. And he made a commitment when he first went into medicine that he would never buy more than what his first house was. That he made a commitment when he went in that they would never have a new car. It would only be used. And so their first house, a little 2-3 bedroom house, they could afford so much more, never bought it on north side of Crosse. They stayed there until they had to move out. In every sense, they did that so that as he accumulated more income, that income would not need to be repurposed for anything, but instead could be put right back into the kingdom of God.
That's really cool.
And I've never forgotten his story. And so, when you ask that question, who does that? There are people that do that. And yet he didn't sell. They had a house. They didn't live homeless. But in a sense, there is something about his story that I've never forgotten, that he, I think, was taking this, at least for his calling God had on his life, in a maybe extreme, but not but still healthy, maybe approach to how he lived it.
Well, the story of the rich young man is so interesting because it's not, we would not blink at it if Jesus had said, yes, you have done all these things, but there is one thing you lack. Go and pour your wine down in the creek because you're addicted. And you're trying to serve me, but you can't because you have this addiction. You're worshiping something else. What Jesus says when he says God and money, the King James is mammon. Yes. Mammon was a god. Yeah, Mammon's a god. It's a god of materialism. That's right. And so Jesus is saying there's a god named Mammon that you worship, that you bow down and worship. But a lot of people have gods in their life. Their kids are their gods. Yeah. We know a lot of people that worship their kids. They can't get away from their kids' success is their success. They're in touch. They're 10 times a day. They're texting back and forth with their kid. And then what happened? And then what happened? And it's like, wow, okay, you don't give this amount of devotion to anybody, not even to the Lord. So it could be anything. Go. He could have said to this man, Go leave your parents' home because it's too comfortable for you and follow me. But this is what this guy has in his life. That's why. So it's not just about money. Money just happens to be a popular thing for many people.
Jesus knew what had the most power over him. That's exactly
what did.
Yeah.
So then is a question we should be asking ourselves is what has the most power over us?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good question we should always be asking. And, when it comes to possessions, it's easy for us to find, I alluded to this last week. It's easy for us to say, no, I can breathe easy. Well, why can you breathe easy? Well, because I don't have to worry about food anymore because I have food at my house. And there's a grocery store, so I can go down the street to a grocery store. And I have enough money that I can go to the grocery store and buy things. And I know that the heat is going to be on when I get home. And so we put our trust and our comfort and our, that few factor. At what point do we go, phew, in things? And as long as I have enough things, we've all felt this, then I'm okay. Instead of saying, the truth is, I don't know. I don't know where my next this is going to come from, that's going to come from. It's fully and completely in the Lord. My trust is in the Lord. I tell people who are wealthy quite often, you have a task ahead of you. It's very, very difficult to be wealthy and to follow the Lord and to put your hope and your trust fully and completely in Him, because you guys can write checks. And that takes care of a lot of issues. I don't know how many people write checks anymore, but you can Venmo or whatever it is that people are doing. But you can do things. You don't have to sit and go, like Kathy and I have done many times, holding hands across the table. I don't know how we're going to pay for this. Or I don't know what we're going to do about that. I don't know how God is going to meet this need, but I know that He's there. And I know that He's going to be okay, and He's never let us down, and it'll be okay. And then watching God do that. So that's some of this whole trust. I think this is why we've got to know how loved we are. We have to understand that when God shows up for us, this is His love and care and concern for us.
No, Jesus is not telling every person go and sell all your things.
Correct.
I mean, that's part of what we want to come back to. That is, Jesus is not anti things.
Right.
I think that's an important part. We need to come to this, because I think as a young man, that's partly what my instinctive take, who didn't have much things, would be that Jesus was anti things, and that somehow that was more pure. But I think what I've learned over time is Jesus is anti our hope in things.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, and we'll talk about this a lot more on Sunday, it's not about what we have, but how we see what we have. Because, Steve, you just alluded to, and you're right, because the Bible gives some of those same cautions to wealthy. But most people, even though we could say we have a wide range of wealth within our church, we're all wealthy in the sense of we're not worried about the very things you said, meal, a food. Most of us aren't worried about those things. And so as we look, what do we worry about the most is actually, how do I get that extra thing that I think will make me happy?
Yeah.
Whether you make, hundreds of $1,000s a year, $50,000 a year, whatever it is you're at in that line, most of us, what we're worried about is, can I get that extra thing that I think will make me happy? And so now Jesus is coming back and saying, why is that your focus? And what does it mean for your focus to shift about you looking at what you need or you think you need versus turning to look at what I would like you to do with what you have? Because most of us want the answer. What am I just supposed to do? Give me a percentage.
Right.
Right? Okay. Am I supposed to sell all my stuff?
Well, that's why the tithe is so popular.
Right.
Still
Yes.
In the church.
Yes. And hey, structure helps. I mean, I think most of us we all create budgets in this room, and so, but even the problem with budget is that once we've formed our rule, sometimes the rule guides us, not Jesus.
Yeah.
Our structure guides us. And I think Jesus is trying to, like the rich young ruler, that man, God knew where his wealth had a hold of him. But I think even more, it's this text is really focused on the things. How does our love for things hold our hearts more than our love for Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
And so I hear everything you guys are saying, and it's about the heart and what is your treasure, and maybe it is money, literally, and maybe it's something else. But then we're told to store treasures in heaven. So how do we do that? Like, what is the practical application, guys, of what that looks like?
And you really want to just preach my sermon right now, don't you?
No, I don't. No, I'll wait for it. But does that
we did talk about this a couple weeks ago. We said there's a heavenly reward.
Yeah.
And we don't always understand what the heavenly reward looks like, but there is. And, we're going to learn in the Revelation series, there's what we're called to do eventually is rule. We're going to rule. We're not going to rule some galaxy somewhere. We're going to rule here on earth. God, the end state for those of us who know and follow Christ, the eternal state, is not some ethereal place where we look down on earth. It's on earth. God brings his kingdom fully manifested onto earth, and we become rulers here on earth. And just like there's a hierarchy in government, there's a hierarchy in God's world. And so there's some sort of reward thing or some sort of hierarchy as we are leading and as we are being faithful to the Lord. There's something going on behind the scenes.
But there's something else there I think we miss is what Jesus is describing. The whole context of this sermon is the kingdom of heaven has come now as well. And so when Jesus talks about storing up for ourselves treasures in God's kingdom, and he's coming back to this kingdom of heaven idea, it's not just an internal, this is going to happen. As I've been sitting this, I've been reminded, when I begin to shift what I do with what I have, I get to start to experience the rewards now.
Okay.
I get to begin to see the impact it has on someone else's life. A relationship forms that never would have formed if I hadn't began to see handle what I had differently. I've got relationships with people that were formed as I started to see what I had differently, and I began to give or lend or whatever. Like, you take this and whatever happens with it, I got to see the fruit of that. One of the best examples for us, for Amy and I know, is in our home. And I'll talk about this on Sunday in the message a little bit too, but we can walk around our home and see the scars of all, you've done this, all the scars of ministry we've had in our house. One of them we call the Josh Walker scar. I'll tell that story a little bit on Sunday. But each one of them is a story of ministry. So things I had that are honestly are in pretty rough shape. They're not as looking good and haven't necessarily been as cared for as they could be if our home had just been me and Amy and Desmond.
Yeah.
But we said this isn't our home. There's a kingdom purpose for it, and we've been able to be blessed now.
Yeah.
With, and so I don't. It's rewards in the kingdom of heaven, but it's not just eternal.
No,
it's there is now that we get to experience blessings and rewards as well.
Well, this is Jesus. His disciples say to him, "Lord, we've left everything to follow you." And Jesus says, "Anybody who's left their family, their hometown to follow me will receive a greater reward in the life to come, but also in this life."
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
And
right there.
so the reward doesn't look like what we think it does. So it's not like, because you've done this with your home.
Yeah.
That God has, put an infinite ATM in your house and you're getting money out.
Right.
That's exactly right.
There's a different reward.
Yeah,
it's a
that's
reward of
right.
relationship and community and life and
joy, honestly, even joy in seeing what's happened because of that.
Desmond getting to grow up in a house where that's being modeled for him.
Man,
I mean, like all of this stuff. That's part of receiving what is greater.
That's right.
So we are getting dividend checks here, so to speak.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. And I never want to miss that.
Yeah.
Jesus is meeting us with those blessings right with right now. And that's a really sweet thing.
But we need to look for them. We need to have eyes to see them. And sometimes we rob ourselves of joy not seeing what God is doing.
Well, and it comes back to why Jesus began where he was. Where your treasure is, there your heart is also. We can define the treasure is kind of what you started with, but what he's coming back to is if your value is not in what the kingdom of heaven values, if your heart is not turned to what God's heart is turned toward, you won't be able to see what God sees. And so not only will you miss what you could do, but you'll miss seeing exactly the blessings that are being experienced. I had a conversation with someone, that was a while back, and they said, I don't get it. Like, they're just so much happier than I am. And it was a tough conversation. I said, because they value different things than you do. And the truth is there was a selfish and a selfless. And they just have a selfless attitude in a lot of how they live their life. And because of that, they get joy. And a lot of times our selfishness is driven because we're trying to protect joy.
Yeah.
If I do this, then it'll be hard. It'll be too painful. I'll lose something that makes me happy. And Jesus is coming back. As you hold on more, you think you're holding on to something that brings you joy and contentment and safety, but you're actually squeezing joy and contentment and safety right through your fingers. And all that's left is stuff.
Yeah. I'm every time I read this passage, I don't store up for yourselves treasures on earth. I think about gold, because gold has been this valued currency going back to the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And why? And so I think just think about this. Why gold? Why have we decided that metal, this piece of metal, has value? Well, it's because we've all decided it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we've all decided it. It has something to do certainly with its rarity, but we've all decided that gold is valuable. And so we all keep deciding every generation. Hundreds of generations have all decided, oh, no, gold is valuable. Oh, gold is valuable. Oh, okay. Gold is valuable. Oh, okay. Like if we had a collective conscience, we could all decide tomorrow, gold's not valuable anymore. That would be it. That would be the end of like the gold market. Yeah. It's sort of like traffic laws. We've decided that these are the traffic laws. We could all decide tomorrow just not to obey them, and it would be chaos. But so here's this thing called gold that is part of a collective, delusion is too strong, collective decision that we are going to value. And the only thing that makes it valuable is that we've decided it's valuable. And so that's the way possessions are. What is valuable to you is not valuable to me. What is valuable to me is not valuable to you. But there are these things that cross lines that are like, whoa, that is valuable. That is really important. Why? Because we've decided it. And so if we have that kind of power, we can decide too, it's not going to be valuable to me. That's just not a big deal. Mm-hmm. So I can walk into the room and I can see a big pile of gold, and I don't need to dive into it like Scrooge McDuck. I can just go, and walk out, and it's not going to faze me. Yeah. And because I am following a different kingdom. In the upside down kingdom, that has no value whatsoever. But because we've decided that it does, we give it value. So really the secret is all we have to do is just say, I'm going to turn, I'm not going to value that anymore. And that takes time. And that takes filling ourselves with the kingdom of God.
Time and discipline and obedience. And that's good.
But it comes back really where, it's why the order kind of was the way it is in Scripture, where you closed message last week. It's faith. Yeah. It's what I put my trust in. It was easier for 19-year-old David to trust God because I kind of had no choice. And as I have been able to possess more, I have had to wrestle with where I put my trust more. I have had to remind and that's it. It's not only a journey to get there, it's a journey to stay there. I actually think that can sometimes be harder as we grow because we don't have to trust God for as many things as maybe we once did, which means they're going to war for our hearts. And that's why this passage is something that has to sit in front of us wherever we are in our Christian life.
I have a tale of two friends. I have two rich friends. And I have more than that, but I have two in particular that are just contrasts of each other. And one is so tight-fisted. He's got so much. And when he decides, he can be generous. But he doesn't often decide, and it doesn't come naturally to him. And he doesn't freely give, freely say, here you go. And he could. We've been out to dinner with him, and we were barely making any money. And he was like, we're splitting the check. And this guy's making millions, and he's that kind of guy. And then we've been around, another friend, kind of a composite of many friends who have much, and they are able to just give away. But there's something that I've discovered about this. We notice it in those who we think have a lot.
Yeah.
But it really starts with when you have very little.
That's right.
That's good, Steve.
It starts with, when you and Amy didn't have, you didn't have Desmond and you didn't have a lot. And it's like, we're going to open up our house. However, be it ever so humble, we will open up our home to, because if you don't have that, when you have little, you're going to be wrestling this whole thing with possessions to the ground when you have much, and it will never change for you. So you better get it right now.
It's good.
It's really good. Super fun. Thanks, guys. Yeah. And thank you for joining us. Have a great week. Bye-bye.